Nestled in the heart of anthracite country, the small town of Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, is known locally as the Switzerland of America, due largely to its mountainous scenery, Victorian architecture, and narrow streets. There are dozens of unique businesses that make their home in this little mountain town, but none are as iconic as the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway. Running over former Jersey Central and Lehigh Valley trackage through the Lehigh Gorge State Park, the railroad began service out of Jim Thorpe in 2005 as a sister company of the much larger Reading and Northern Railroad. Starting in 2007, Jim Thorpe would occasionally be paid visits by former Gulf, Mobile, and Northern steam locomotive number 425, either leading the Lehigh Gorge excursions or stopping by on a special trip for the Reading and Northern. Mostly diesel-powered, the trips ran from the former Jersey Central station in downtown Jim Thorpe 8 miles into the gorge, where passengers had the option of either disembarking and biking back or sticking around for the return trip. It was simple, but it was perfect. Until Thanksgiving weekend of 2019, when the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway pulled out of Jim Thorpe for what many thought would be the last time. The borough claimed that the railroad owned a significant amount of unpaid amusement tax, a tax that the railroad claimed it was not subject to. This dispute, along with the outbreak of the coronavirus, halted the Gorge train's operations for several months. After many months of negotiating with Jim Thorpe, the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway announced in July that operations would finally resume in August of 2020, with the inaugural trips being pulled by locomotive number 425. With this magnificent machine on the head end, it was sure to be a sight to behold. So let's head down to Little Switzerland to see this historic return to excursion service in Reading and Northern 425, Lehigh Gorge Return. As we began our journey, the small town was bustling with activity. The 425 was awaiting departure on the head of a sold-out 11-car excursion train, an extended consist from the usual length to accommodate for social distancing. As she awaited departure, tourists from all walks of life filed in and out of the parking lot ahead of her. The whistle the locomotive wears is changed out frequently, but the 425 was wearing a fan favorite for this weekend's trips, the Reading 6-chime once used on Reading Company's steam locomotive number 2102, a stablemate of the 425s that is on the home stretch of a multi-year restoration. On display at the depot was former Seaboard Coastline SD50 number 8507, now the Reading and Northern's number 5018. One of 4 SD50s acquired by the RNN in 2019, the 5018 was the first of the railroad's locomotives to be repainted into a brand new red and white paint scheme, a significant departure from the green and yellow scheme that has long been the staple of their diesel fleet. With all the passengers aboard, engineer Chad Fredrickson opens the throttle, and the 425 departs Jim Thorpe right on time. She lost her footing a couple times getting the train underway. As she gets out of town, the 425 departs from the former Jersey Central Main as she crosses the Lehigh River. Because the Reading and Northern's North Reading Fast Freight had just come over the adjacent bridge, the excursion had to come to a stop so a switch could be thrown to allow it to pass through. Once the switch was aligned, a crew member signaled that the 425 was clear to move. The crew wasted no time in getting the train moving again. Past this bridge, the train glides onto the former Lehigh Valley at Control Point Coal. The engineer has the throttle wide open, giving all the photographers and park goers an outstanding performance. The 425 is one of North America's loudest operating steam locomotives, and that is proven well as she slices through the rock cut at Glen Onoko. Once she passes, the train continues to accelerate, racing toward Milepost 126. Farther down the line, the locomotive slows her pace as she rounds Oxbow Curve, the tightest bend on today's journey. At Old Penn Haven, the locomotive will pause to run around the train and have the coaches serviced. Running tender first on the way back, the locomotive coasts past Milepost 126, with her majestic whistle ringing loud and clear through the gorge.
Here it is.
Continuing her journey back to Jim Thorpe, the locomotive slowly glides through the Glen Onoko rock cut and crosses the Lehigh River. As she approaches, a family can be heard reacting to the sight of a steam locomotive in action.
Not if you're joining us? Here it is. Here it is.
Marching ahead on her trip, the 425 quietly returns to Jersey Central trackage at Control Point Coal. As she gets closer and closer to Jim Thorpe, the 425 crosses the Lehigh River once again. To give a bit of context, this shot was filmed before the North Reading fast freight passed, so after clearing, the train had to come to a stop again to align the switch in favor of the freight. Once the conductor boards the train, the 425 gets moving again. The train will arrive back in Jim Thorpe right on time. The railroad prides itself in its precise, on-time performance. Although steam on the Lehigh Gorge trips is a special occurrence, trains will be making several runs daily through November this year. The railroad is also running special bike trains even further into the gorge on select weekends through November. If you want to take a ride on the rails through the Lehigh Gorge, or if you want to learn more about the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway, visit their website at lgsry.com. If you're interested in exploring other parts of the Reading and Northern aboard a train, visit the Reading and Northern's passenger department online at rbmnrr-passenger.com. Thanks for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this trip with the Pennsylvania Icon in Reading and Northern 425, Lehigh Gorge Return.